Alright, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a massive new law in India that could completely reshape its energy future. We're talking about a plan to bring in billions in private investment for nuclear power. But, and this is a big but, it also sparks a huge debate about who's on the hook when things go wrong. And it's all centered around something called the Shanti Act. So here's our game plan. First, we'll get into what this new chapter for India's nuclear program is all about. Then we'll ask, why change the rules now? We'll unpack the act itself, get into the really sticky part, the great liability debate, and finally, look at the promise and the potential pitfalls. Let's get into it. Alright, let's start with the basics. Section 1. A bold new plan for energy. So what in the world is this S&P Act? Well, think of it like this. The Shanti Bill is basically a massive overhaul. It's the government's plan to take decades of nuclear laws. We're talking laws from way back in the 60s and more recently in 2010 and consolidate them all into one single modern rulebook for the 21st century. The whole idea is to make things simpler, and you guessed it, way more attractive for private companies to get involved. And here's the official name, the Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India Bill. Bit of a mouthful, right? That's why we call it Shanti. But the mission is pretty clear. It's designed to do a few really big things. Bring private money and know-how into the nuclear game. Strengthen the national regulator to make sure everything is safe. And at the end of the day, supercharge India's push for clean energy. Okay, that brings up a really good question. Why now? Why change the rules? What's the big push for power all about? So if you look back, India's entire nuclear program has basically been running on laws from 1962 and 2010. One law to set up government control and another one to figure out compensation if something went wrong. But the government is essentially saying, look, that was then, this is now. The argument is that the old rulebook is just too clunky, too outdated to fuel the kind of massive growth they need to meet their energy and climate targets. And here's the reality on the ground today. India has 24 reactors, and altogether they generate about 3% of the country's electricity. Now that might not sound like a lot, but it's incredibly stable, reliable power. But here's the thing. The country has this massive long-term mission to scale that number up, like way up. They see nuclear as absolutely critical for getting clean power 24/7. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. What's actually inside this bill? How does it work? Okay, this right here is the absolute game changer. The biggest change by far is throwing the doors wide open to the private sector. You have to understand, for decades, nuclear power in India has been a total government show, a monopoly. This bill, it flips out on its head for the very first time. Private companies, even joint ventures, could get a license to build, own and operate their own nuclear plants. That is a massive shift. But it's not just about private companies. There's a lot more packed in here. The bill officially gives statutory power, you know, real legal teeth to the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board, which is the main safety watchdog. It sets up a whole new graded structure for liability, which we'll get to in a second. It even covers things like using nuclear tech in healthcare and agriculture. And this is really important. The government keeps a tight grip on the most sensitive stuff like the nuclear fuel cycle. That part is not being privatized. And that liability piece, that brings us to the heart of the storm. This is without a doubt the most controversial part of the entire bill, the great liability debate. Who pays in a crisis? Okay, look closely at this table because it lays out the core of the whole debate. Under the old 2010 law, you had a liability cap for the operator. Pretty straightforward. The new Shanti bill introduces a graded system, which on the surface seems more flexible, right? But here's that catch chapter. You see that second row right of recourse. That's the key. Under the old law, if a supplier, say a big international company, gave the plant operator a faulty part and it caused an accident, the operator could sue them. That right is gone in the new bill. It's completely moved. And that's a huge deal. It means the supplier of the technology is basically shielded from liability, and all the financial risk gets pushed on to the plant operator. So, where does this leave us? Well, it paints two very, very different pictures of the future. Let's look at the promise and the pitfalls. From one perspective, it's all about this number 100, GW. That's India's massive, ambitious target for nuclear energy by 2047. I mean, that's more than a 10 times increase from where they are today. And the argument from supporters is pretty simple. You are never, ever going to attract the big international companies and the billions of dollars needed to build all those plants. If those companies have to worry about unlimited liability, they say this change is the key to unlocking that investment. But then, there's the other side of the coin. Critics like the physicist Savita Raj you quoted here are raising a huge red flag. They look at the financial devastation from major accidents elsewhere in the world and they say, look, the total liability cap under this new act, it's about 1,000 times smaller than the actual cost of a major accident. They argue that even the highest cap is just a drop in the ocean and might not come close to covering the potential damage. So to sum up, the vision here for supporters, the Shanti Act is the essential next step. It's about modernizing an old system, pulling in private money, and cutting edge innovation and helping India hit those huge clean energy goals for 2047. The idea is to position India as a leader in advanced nuclear tech, all while strengthening the national regulator. It's a vision for a secure, carbon free energy future, but the concerns are just as strong. Opponents look at this and see a trade off. That's just too risky. Their argument is that when you remove supplier liability, you take away one of the biggest incentives for a company to make sure their equipment is as safe as humanly possible. The fear is that this bill ends up favoring multinational suppliers over compensating potential victims, and it really weakens that core polluter pays principle. The big question they're asking is this prioritizing commerce over safety? And so at the end of the day, the debate over the Shanti Act really boils down to this fundamental and very difficult question: how does a nation balance its urgent, undeniable need for clean energy with the profound, heavy responsibility of nuclear safety? There's no easy answer here. It's a massive balancing act with incredibly high stakes.